Alright, welcome back to Dale Kramer's Custom Cars and Anything Today. And what we're working on today is we're going to wire up a neutral safety switch, and I'm going to explain how that works on a Mopar here. And we're going to run the neutral safety switch wires and the starter, or the brake light switch wires, pardon me. So anyway, so let's get started here. So what I did is trying to do better production on my videos. I think they suck actually, but I'm trying, guys, you know. But anyway, I selected on a Mopar alternator regulator wires. They're usually green and blue, or sometimes they're brown and blue, or brown and green. So I just selected green and blue. That's what I got on hand. So we need them. That'll go to the alternator. Then the starter relay that goes from the starter solenoid to the starter relay. I selected them in purple. And then the neutral safety switch wire that goes down to the neutral safety switch. We don't have reverse lights, so I don't have to select any more wires for that, but I'll explain that in a while. So I selected that in yellow, and what that'll do, that'll ground out the neutral safety switch. And then red and white wires that got to go to the brake light, down the brake light switch in line. So what we'll do first is I'm gonna go, let's see, this is so hard. Wish I had the subscribers so I could hire a cameraman like those other big channels seem to have, but obviously that's not gonna happen here. My cardboard's getting dirtier than heck too. So what we're gonna do, I want to build the harness for the neutral safety switch in the brake light deal all in one, and I'll explain that here in a second as well. This guy gets set up here. As you can see, I'm not. Let's see now. Okay. Okay, as you can see, there's the transmission neutral safety switch, and there's the inline brake switch for the inline brake lines, you know. And that'll tell the brake lights to come on when it pressurizes in the line. It turns the switch on. So you got power coming down, you got power leaving. And that's like a light switch. Turns on the brake lights. And that'll run to the signal light switch on the steering column, because the signal light switch has like several fingers. Like if you took your fingers and they touch certain fingers, and then they activate your left turn, right turn, and your brake lights have to turn on when you're taking a left or right turn. So when you flicker to the left, then certain fingers touch, you know. But yet you're on your brakes when you're taking the turn, so then the other light is lighting up on the high side of the bulb, you know. So a lot of people, when they have trouble, they've come to me where their brake lights don't work on their trucks or cars. Well, they don't look at the actuator in the steering column. They call it a turn switch actuator. Light switch actuator. And what they find out is that it's actually in the steering column is where their problem is. They're tearing their rear tail lights out and looking at grounds, looking at everything, and what it was in their steering column. I always tell them that. I said, if you can't find it, it's in your steering column. That actuator controls a lot of things. Your four-way hazards, so all four of them blink when you hit the separate switch. It controls your brake lights. It controls your left and turn rights in the rear and on the front. Um, so yeah, so if you ever have problems with the brake lights and you can't figure it out, look at your actuator in the column. I've done a lot of electrical work and on cars. I've wired up a lot of cars actually in my life already, believe it or not. Probably gotta be at least 10. Um, so I mean, I understand how things work, and I try to explain it. I know it's hard to explain to people because this wire crosses that wire, and that wire crosses this wire, and this wire goes that way, and that. It gets to be difficult. So anyway, we have an inline. Wish I could show you that better. But here we go again. We can kind of see it in a way. And so that brake light switch, that has to go to the actuator, So, and then I got an LED light going now. That's the reason why you're seeing that screen going kind of nuts. I don't have the neutral safety switch plug, but I'm going to run the wire to it, and then I'll have to fasten that later. But now let me explain the neutral safety switch to you, a Mopar one. A lot of guys always argue with me on this, but trust me, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. If I can get you some light there now, let's see if we can do that. Okay, a typical Mopar switch, you can see it has these 3 prongs here. Okay, the middle one, now when you put this thing in neutral or park, it allows the switch to turn on, to create, it's like a light switch again. But now the middle prong, you see 1, 2, 3, but the middle one is your ground. And what that does, you run that straight to your remote Mopar starter relay where it says ground, because it grounds out the relay. So it's telling the relay, okay, yeah, we're in neutral or park, so it's okay to crank the motor over. That's what it's doing. Now, the top one and the bottom one, you can reverse them. And what that's for is that's for your reverse lights. It also, when it goes in reverse, then it clicks on them and it creates a circuit, and it turns on your reverse lights when you're in reverse. Now they're reversible, the outer ones. Okay, that's why you can take a neutral, Mopar neutral plug, and you can flip the plug. It's going to work either way because the ground is still in the center, and so it's positive going in for the reverse lights, positive going out for the reverse lights. Then the center one is a ground for your standard starter regulator for Mopar. Okay, so that's how you wire them, And then on the brake light one here, it's in line. It's a pressure switch, and these can be reversed as well, but they're both positives. Positive going in, switch, positive going out. Okay, so those can be reversed. They got black on here, and I don't like to run black, so I'm going to run white and red. Because to me, black could be mistaken as a ground wire, and I don't like that. So I'm going to run a white wire to the black and red to red. That's how I'm going to wire that up. So anyway, I guess I'm gonna make these wires quick, and then I'll have to come back under here, and I wish I had that plug right now for the transmission, the pigtail for that, but I don't. My brother's got it right now in his pickup, and he's 13 miles away from me. But So I'd like to wire that in right away, but I won't be able to right now. So I'm gonna, and then the wire. See, we're only going to be using the inside one on that neutral safety switch, just the middle one, because we don't have reverse lights on the car. But later we can run reverse lights. You know, we just have to open this wire up and run one in and out, or run a separate to the pigtail. I'm not going to cut those wires off the pigtail. I'm just going to tape them inside the harness for future use if need to be. So, I don't know if I should film that. I don't even know why I would have to. So yeah, so it'll be a yellow one in the center of that. I'll run a yellow one, and then that'll run up to the relay, starter relay. And we'll get to that later. But let's get the harness made and get it up, run through the firewall, and the floor next to the firewall is where I run it, and then yeah, then we're good to go, I guess. So okay, so what I'm doing here, which you can't see at all, is that I'm keeping, okay, I have to bridge across. I'm going to use these wires as a pointer. Here's the end of the wires, so these have to connect to these. Then I'm going to zip tie them here and run them across to, I don't know if you can see the neutral safety switch wire here. Yeah, you can see where it goes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop taping like right there. Then I'm going to incorporate get it untangled. Well, what's happening here? There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now I'm going to incorporate that neutral safety center wire. This will be it, you know, to here. So I'm basically building a harness, but I had to get under the car, make sure that this is going to work. Let's see now. Look at things here. Yeah, that should work. Now I'm going to tape this wire in here. There's only a little bit of black tape left on this one. Yeah, I mean, I could run extra wires for that neutral safety switch, so the reverse light wires would be up in the firewall. You know, I could do that, but I'm so limited here. Oh, there we go. No other tape. Okay. Another roll. I think I've used 3 rolls of black tape. You know, I taped the wires. I said on a previous video I taped the wires together. Well, I meant this way. I don't mean tape the ends together. You know, I use shrink wrap for that. You know, sometimes I'll solder them and sometimes I won't. I'll just wrap them together. Because the enemy of a wire that creates resistance is a loose connection and moisture. Now, if you can keep the moisture out of it by using shrink wrap and silicone, you're encasing the wire so the oxygen cannot or moisture cannot get to it. And if you can get that to stay away, that connection will stay nice and clean with no oxygen and moisture at it. So that's the secret. You can wire, and as long as you twist them tight together, I mean, oh, they'll go to life of the car. And then also another thing that can destroy that is that if you have too much current demand, you know, too much draw, you know. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build this harness. And then I'll put wire covering on top of this yet, you know. I mean, soldering irons, you'll see me using them, you know, but and you have to use them every now and then, depending on what you're wiring, what you're doing. what the demands of it is. So I'm going to put you guys on pause while I'm going to tape enough of this up so I can run it over the transmission and through the floor where I got a previous hole with a rubber grommet around the hole, and then run it into the cab of the car, you know, the driver's bay. So you guys don't need to watch me wrap this up, but make sure when you wrap them up, I hold them with my fingers, and then I put my fingers here, and then I use the other one, and then when you wrap them up, they're really tight, nice and tight, good looking, you know. And then I'll put that plastic wire loom on top of this yet. So they're very well protected, you know. I'm going to try to do a better wiring. I tell you guys, it's tough. It's tough to try to do these videos, let me tell you. I try to be informative. On the first few videos, I think they're crappy. I think they suck, actually, and I'm being honest. I don't like them. But now we're going to start making connections, and I want to explain things in detail if I can, you know. So, let's, I'm going to put you guys on pause while I finish wrapping all this up. Then I'm going to shove it through here and up there. And you got to make sure they're away from, every time I'm underneath the car, then I get that floor dust. I'm going to try to run them, make sure they're clear of heat. Here's heat right here. With exhaust and vibrations. Make sure they're fastened well. Use good quality clamps, zip ties, whatever it takes. And then periodically inspect things, you know. And always keep in mind, if you're running it through something, you know, if there'd be a problem, that you would know, like, yeah, it must be right there. I remember that. So, let's put you guys on pause while I do this quick. I'm going to build this harness. I'll put all these wires together, and then I'll try to show you under here somehow. And I'll show you where they go. So let's put this thing on pause right now. Alright, so I made the connector from the brake light switch here. It runs on here. I'll zip tie this up later, but this is for the neutral safety switch that's on the transmission that you probably can kind of see there. You know, there. Now you can't really see it. Everything's in the way. The wire's even in the way. Anyway, so I gotta quit on this for now. You know, we got the wire ran, you know, and it just has to be zip tied, and I have to put the neutral safety switch plug on the end, you know, the pigtail, and hook it up to that yellow wire. So we'll just leave that hang for now, like I say. So let's get out of here for a little bit, I guess. Gotta grab my tools here. That's what I'm working on right now. Okay, that's good enough for now. Alright, now we made the so anyway, this is the star solenoid wire down here. Come on. God, I wonder if I should go to blue one in there. Sometimes you're caught right between everything where... Maybe I should, huh? Maybe I should won't. Darn it, what do I do here? Yeah, we'll go to blue one. Some of them shrink wrap terminals sometimes. You can't push it through the thing. So a little tip there is get yourself something out here, just kind of make that shrink wrap a little bigger on the end. They want you to go to the end of that so it stays sealed. That's okay because I put silicone on them later anyway. I like to see that wire just go in there just a little bit like that on myself. There we go. Here's a little torch. Yeah. Torch that up quick. These connectors are so darn expensive. I'm using them up like water out of my set. Okay, that's a pretty good tight connection there, I think. Let that cool for a minute. Over it, okay. That. And then we'll yeah, I wish I could get better videos for you guys, but yeah, you know, it's got to have a guy holding the camera for like best shots, you know what I mean? Secret is always when you make your connections, that you make your connections good and tight. You know what I mean? Okay. Oh, no. We'll make our connection back to the starter here. That's what will activate our solenoid from the neutral safety switch. Oh, I'm spinning the nut on and even on the stud. Well, I'm bending over right now. I'm 7 foot tall, and that's a little tough for me. Height does have its handicaps. That's for sure. No. There we go. There. Now later on we're going to zip tie these together, but I got to run 2 more wires. I have to run the main positive feed from the alternator to this main positive cable. So this main positive cable can send the signal of electricity back to the battery. So it charges the battery. Then I got to run another one off of here yet to go into the main fuse box so it gives the car power. So there's still a lot to do here yet, but I can tighten up the solenoid one because that's the only one that goes on there. Stand up straight just for a second here, give my back a break. And we still got work to do here yet, so we're definitely not done here. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm not going to leave it this way. It'll be zip tied up here later. But like I say, I got those other connections I got to make here yet. So we're just going to leave this alone now for now. We'll come back to it later. Oh, man. Good job. Good job wiring up a car. So it's got to be dependable, you know. Now, here's all those wires we just installed. Yellow goes to the ground on the starter solenoid. The white and red are going to the brake light switch. And purple goes to the starter solenoid as well. So, and we'll get to that a little later. Why don't I call this a video for right now? It's dinner time, and next step we'll do is we'll start running wires underneath the dash more, or we'll run the alternator wires and get them in here. It's starting to look like a mess in here again with all these wires hanging around, but we're getting there. So I guess please like and subscribe. This is only a half-hour video, but we got the neutral safety switch wires run. I still got to get that plug for the transmission from my brother. And pretty soon we'll have everything centralized in here where we can start hooking shit up and or stuff up, pardon me. Now I got to put another $5 in the swear jar. Man, that jar's getting full. But then I'll have lots of money to work on a car again, huh? Oh well. Anyway, I can hear some thunder again. Some banging going on out there, and they ain't the neighbors. Huh. Okay. Guess we got some thunderstorms coming too today. So, okay. Please like and subscribe, and then I think the next step is we'll run those alternator wires. Get them in here, and then I think we pretty much got everything in here. All we got to do is just oh, what a mess. So we'll get her though. I'm not worried about it, but I got to stay on top of it. That's the problem. I can't walk away from this for a week and then come back and expect, oh, where was I? So when you do a project like this, you have to stay with it until you're done. You can't just drop it for a week and a half. So, or you got to finish up a circuit and stop there. So that's my advice. But take care, and please subscribe if you can, guys. I sure could use some subscribers. Please like the videos too. You know, nobody's hitting the like button. I know the videos ain't the best ones in the world, guys. Just bear with me. It'll get better, but I need the subscribers and the likes to make it better. And if I don't get that, I can't improve it. You know, it's going to take twice as long. I definitely want to improve it, but it's going to take twice as long. But thank you. I sure appreciate it, and have a nice day. Bye-bye. We'll see you on the next video.